There was a sexy story behind Bitcoin that initially gained traction in the libertarian world, the free market, anarcho-capitalists, tech savvy, younger people. And that's when I learned about it. I mean, I learned about the thing in 2009 or 10 or early on. Obviously, I had an opportunity to make billions of dollars, but I knew from the beginning that it would not work. I knew that it wasn't real money, that it had no substance and that it wasn't digital gold. I mean, I knew that, people could get suckered into it. I mean, I recognized there was that potential, but I never really imagined back then, that it would achieve anywhere near the success that it did for the early adopters who got in and were able to con people into paying such large sums of money. The whole thing was really a fraud. I mean, they tried to represent it as if it was some kind of digital form of gold by presenting it as if it were a coin and with the color gold. And the way they were created, they said, well, you mine them, even though there's no mining involved in creating Bitcoins. You're solving math problems. So you're not actually mining anything. You're solving a problem, and the reward is Bitcoin. But the whole idea was, to try to con people into thinking that this was some digital version of gold, except it was better than gold because it was more transportable. It was more divisible. It was, decentralized. It was non-confiscatable. There was all these things that it did to improve on gold to make it even better money than gold for the digital age. And of course, the single most important reason that gold is money. I mean, gold is good money. First and foremost, gold is a commodity. Gold is a metal, a precious metal that is highly desirable for its uses and the things that you can do with gold. Gold is the most useful, valuable metal on the periodic table. And so because so many people want gold for so many different uses, gold has value. One of the reasons that it's such a good store of value is because gold doesn't rust, it doesn't tarnish, it doesn't decay. A lot of other commodities have a shelf life. Gold has an infinite shelf life. So it's perfect for savings, which makes it great for money because it's a store of value. It's a scheme of deferred payment. I can borrow gold from you and I can pay you back the gold, and you're going to get exactly what I bought, what you loaned me. Every ounce of gold is exactly the same. So you loan me an ounce, I'll pay you back an ounce in 10 years, you're going to get the same thing. And it's easy as a unit of economy of exchange. So gold was money, but Bitcoin was not. I recognize this fatal flaw that there has to be some underlying value for something to be a store of value. You can't store what you don't have. And I knew if Bitcoin didn't have any real value, it would never be able to function as money. It would never have it'd be too volatile. It just wouldn't work. And it has no, relationship to any other commodities or anything else. And also I pointed out when I first learned about it, I said, well, shit, what's to stop somebody else from coming up with another cryptocurrency and just naming it something else? And of course, now there's more than 20,000 of these things. Yet despite the fact that there's 20,000 of them, they still have a market cap of close to $1 trillion. But of course, that whole market cap can evaporate very quickly if people come to their senses and don't want to buy anymore. And so I think we're getting ready for another Bitcoin crash. Bitcoin's been hanging out around 19,000, but it's just getting ready for another big leg down. I mean, it's overdue. And I think the next big leg down is going to be very dramatic, because I do think there's a lot of leverage too in Bitcoin that hasn't been flushed out. There's a lot of hodlers out there that bought Bitcoin cheap, but didn't want to sell it, didn't want to give up the upside, didn't want to pay the taxes, so they took out loans, and their Bitcoin is collateral. And when these forced margin calls come, it's going to be a implosion. There are going to be no buyers. The market is just going to completely implode.
Do you see a value in having a universal form of digital currency that it's not governed by a nation state?
Yeah, look, I think that government should not be involved in money. I think it's a very dangerous thing. I think money is very important, and the free market should create it. If the government needs money, it can collect it through taxation. We don't want government conjuring money in the thin air with a
Yeah.
printing press. Gold is the best money man has come up with. But that doesn't mean that everybody has to lug around, their
Gold
gold.
bullion. Yeah.
The way man originally improved gold was issuing notes that were denominated in gold. The initial notes were issued by the blacksmith who had gold, and he wrote an IOU, and here's a piece of paper. And so instead of going to the blacksmith every time you wanted your gold, you could just circulate the piece of paper. That was a money substitute, but it was currency because it was backed by actual money. So private banks issued currency backed by gold all the time. I mean, before the Federal Reserve, that's what we had. We had all these private banks all over the United States issuing currency backed by gold. And in fact, the Federal Reserve was private. That was the whole idea. It was like, let's have one private bank that would issue the currencies backed by gold. So when you're looking at the technology that we have today, and this is where blockchain, can play a role, because of the internet, because of blockchain, we don't need to issue paper that's backed by gold. We can create a cryptocurrency instead of a paper currency, and we can back that by gold.
Yep.
And so when you do that, and there are several of them out there, and I was going to do something like this myself through my bank until, it got all screwed up. And so I'm talking to several different companies now about kind of becoming involved with one of these companies that I think maybe is best positioned to do this. But a lot of companies will be able to do it. But when you issue a cryptocurrency that's backed by gold, now you have something. You have a superior form of money to any fiat currency, to any cryptocurrency, because you could take an ounce of gold and you can break it down into a millionth of a gram, right, with a crypto. And now I can take my gold ownership and transfer it anywhere in the world, basically instantaneously for nothing, because the gold just sits there in a vault, but the ownership of that gold continues to circulate and change hands. And so gold can act as a medium of exchange, as a unit of account. You can price products in gold, something that you could never do in Bitcoin. It's universal money. It's one of the most least volatile assets out there. I can say, I'm selling these widgets. Each widget is 10 grams of gold. That's my price. And so I can have customers in Europe, I can have customers in Asia and America, and they all see, it's 10 grams of gold. Then, they can figure out what it is in their own currency. I don't care. I want 10 grams of gold. And then you can transfer me those 10 grams of gold instantly, and I'll send you my product. That's it. And that works way better than Bitcoin. You don't have to trust that something that has no value is going to be in demand, because gold always has value. Gold's a metal. Gold is needed in jewelry. 50% of the demand comes from jewelry. People aren't going to stop wearing jewelry. They've been wearing jewelry for thousands of years. I don't see any women on this call here, but we all got girlfriends and wives. They all wear jewelry, and men wear jewelry too. It's probably now more than ever. Jewelry is a real status symbol for a lot of people. In pop culture, gold is a big thing. Bling. So it's there. But look at India. Look at China. Places that have billions of people. Gold is highly in demand. It's ingrained in the culture.